What's up everyone, 9th Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video, and today we're talking about Torracat. Now this Pokemon is pretty interesting. It's the middle evolution of Incineroar, one of the most used Pokemon in VGC 2020, and one of the most used Pokemon since its debut in Sun and Moon. The Pokemon is insanely good, with the ability Intimidate, lowering the attack of both opposing Pokemon in VGC and the only opposing Pokemon in singles. Being very, very good, one of the best abilities, and very solid stats other than that as well. Now with Torracat, you lower all of your stats except for speed, so that's really one of the main things about using Torracat over Incineroar is you have speed, which is very, very good. We can outspeed things like Excadrill, Duraludon, and there's a lot of Pokemon that we outspeed with Torracat that we can't outspeed with Incineroar, so that's a big upgrade. And then we can also use the item Eviolite to patch up our special defense and defense, but it's not as bulky. It's not going to be as bulky as Incineroar, and Incineroar also does more damage. So if you're looking for more damage and more bulk, which most people will be with Incineroar, Incineroar is the way. But Torracat is a very interesting way of playing the Pokemon still because of its speed. Really, really good stuff. Also, it loses some of its typing, so Incineroar is fire dark, and then Torracat is regular, just fire, mono fire typing, which is cool. It gives us one less weakness, which is fighting, which is why I have that over there to the right. And then also less, offensive. We only have one really type of damage, which is just fire, but instead of like Throat Chop or Darkest Lariat or anything. But I think that's okay. Torracat is not meant to be as offensive unless you play it like Scarf and like singles or something, which is our single spotlight video, or single spotlight portion. But yeah, Torracat's just faster and a little less bulky and a little less damaging. So there's a couple of ways that you can play it, but yeah, Torracat's really cool, and I think it's cool. Probably not super highly used, but it's cool. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about their stats. So I do have a comparison right there next to it, Incineroar's stats, so we'll be comparing them to both. So first off, HP and bulk in general. HP at 65 and defense and special defense both at 50. Now with Eviolite, you get 1.5 times your defense and special defense, so they're almost identical, but not really. It goes from 50 to 75, so we're still 75 to 90 on defense and special defense to Incineroar. So Incineroar still has more bulk with than Eviolite Torracat, which is unfortunate, and also 30 HP, or unfortunate for Torracat, obviously amazing for the Incineroar. Incineroar's stats are just absurd. And then as far as our offensive stats go, we have 85 attack and 80 special attack, really letting you use either. But with Incineroar, it's 115 attack and then 80 special attack, so you just go offensive with the Incineroar. It has very, very like powerful offensive stats with 115 attack, which is just really good. But as far as our speed goes, we are at speed 90 with Torracat, while Incineroar only has 60 speed, so it's very, very slow comparatively. And Torracat it's just really good to be so fast because you just outspeed all of these big threats that can already threaten Torracat. And do a lot of damage to a lot of Pokemon, things like especially Excadrill. But if it Dynamaxes, then you'll be OHKO'd while not being able to OHKO them. So it's a toss-up. Torracat's cool, but not as good as Incineroar. Objectively, just not as good as Incineroar. But still a really cool way of playing it. So let's go ahead and talk about the build itself. So as far as the build, we still have things like Fake Out, Parting Shot, and then obviously like Intimidate as our ability. It's the best ability for this Pokemon by far. Its other abilities I think is just Blaze, so like definitely Intimidate is best ability. And then we also have the item Eviolite, which is half the reason you're able to even use Torracat. It gets very close to bulk as far as Incineroar goes, but less HP and less offense. So Eviolite is the way for this Pokemon, and yeah, it's not super bulky, but it's fairly bulky. And then we also have moves here, really good moves actually, like still a very solid move pool. We still have Fake Out and Parting Shot like I was saying, and then we also have Taunt and Overheat on this set. So Overheat is our best damaging attack. You're only going to be really attacking once. It's really good against things like Rillaboom. It's really good against Excadrill. There's a lot of really good Pokemon, Venusaur, Whimsicott, that Overheat just overheats them. It just takes them right out, so that's very good. And then we also have Taunt here, which is another big reason to use this. Incineroar still gets Taunt as well, but Taunt on Torracat is fast. You're at 155 speed with this spread, we're outspeeding and able to taunt a lot of really good Pokemon. Trick Room setters, which is really good. I mean, obviously, you know, most of those our other guy would be able to outspeed as well. Incineroar, like, outspeed things like Hatterene and Dusclops and stuff like that. But taunting those Pokemon is really good. So we have Taunt on this set as well. And then a couple of other options you have here. You could go with Heat Wave instead of Overheat for spread damage, which is really good, and then also a chance of burning. And then you could also go with Flare Blitz. Since we have 85 attack instead of 80 special attack, you can go either way. So that's pretty cool. But Overheat is just our most damaging attack that provides an OHKO on non-Dynamax Excadrill, which is really good. And then also Will-O-Wisp is a great option. You know, Burn is probably the strongest status. Well, probably not, actually. It's just very strong. It's like that, Paralyze, and Sleep are all just very, very powerful. But Will-O-Wisp being so powerful, you can use it. It's also 90 accuracy, which is like far better than like Sleep Powder and Hypnosis and stuff like that. So, like, you know, Will-O-Wisp is great. I shouldn't have to talk about how good Will-O-Wisp is. So yeah, really good set. I feel like that's probably optimal for moves. You can definitely switch some out, but I feel like that's pretty close to optimal. Parting Shot, being fast, Parting Shot is really, really strong, and then also Fake Out is just really, really strong. Especially since we lose a little bit of our bulk, a fast Parting Shot could be amazing. You can just start off -2 with Intimidate and then Parting Shot something. It can be really, really amazing. So yeah, that's about it for our moves. Let's talk about our stats real quick. So as far as our EV spread goes, this is like semi-calculated. It's also like one of the most used on Pikalytics. So 244 speed with Timid Nature gives us 155 speed, which is just enough to outspeed Jolly Excadrill, which is the most common build of Excadrill. Hitting 155 Excadrill is 154. So it's really good. We're able to outspeed that in Overheat and offering a OHKO against a non-Dynamaxing Excadrill, which is very, very solid. I mean, obviously we see the Focus Sash very, very prominently on Excadrill. It's still really solid to hit that OHKO and knock it down to that, and then maybe with Weather, maybe with, well, I guess not really, unless you're Hailing, or like Dazzling Gleam, or any kind of multi-targeting move, or even Fake Out. Actually, that could be really good too. Like if you side it with Rillaboom or something, you Fake Out and then Overheat, that could take it out immediately. A huge threat, very good. Although that's very susceptible to them Dynamaxing and then it's weak, but still, could be a good option. So yeah, that's what the speed is there for, to outspeed Excadrill. And then obviously we, you know, also subliminally hit so many other Pokemon, outspeeding so many good Pokemon. That 155 is a really, really solid speed tier to be at. There's so many good ones from like 140 to 150, and that's just a great speed. Other than that, we also have 44 into special attack to give us that OHKO of Overheat into the Excadrill, also giving us so much big damage on things like Rotom-Mow, Rillaboom, Whimsicott, Venusaur, so many great Pokemon that we're able to, Ferrothorn, so many great Pokemon that we're able to just take out with that 44 special attack and 155 speed. It's a great place to be at. Honestly, it's Torracat's best option, is just being able to take out those big, great Pokemon, huge threats. But like I say, if they Dynamax, you don't always OHKO. You actually will never OHKO a Dynamaxing Excadrill, and then it's able to just like max Quake you into death, which is really sucky. And then other than that, so that's our offensive stats, and then we also have 4 into special defense and 12 into defense, just so I don't waste any EVs, and then 204 into HP, just to get it as bulky as possible. If you just want to get them, like, you know, you want to make it bulky. So we just went most into HP, and then the little bit into defense and special defense. You could take out like the 8 in defense and put that into HP, but I felt like this was pretty solid. Didn't really waste any EVs, which is just really good. So yeah, that's this build. I think it's very solid for Torracat. Probably the best, the optimal Torracat set, but you can definitely, it's, you know, it's subject to change. And then for a couple of synergetic Pokemon here, first off we have Rillaboom, which just destroys everything that Torracat's afraid of. You know, like Milotic is the biggest scare for Torracat, and like a Woodhammer under Grassy Surge just takes that right out, which is really good. We also have Fake Out on both Pokemon then, so you can go for a double Fake Out early, which is great. Not great in this, you know, particular meta, because of turn 1 Dynamaxing being so prevalent, but prevalent. So yeah, it's good. But it also, like, you know, is big against threats like Gastrodon as well. Like, all water type, rock, and ground type Pokemon, Rillaboom kind of just destroys and threatens immediately when it's out there. It also lowers the damage output of Earthquake, which is great. And it's been trending up and now starting to trend down because of Grassy Surge. So Rillaboom makes a great partner. And then we also have Gastrodon here, being able to, once again, just like destroy those rock and ground type Pokemon, while also just providing a defensive threat that can really be bulky with Intimidate. You Intimidate, and then you can either stockpile, you can go with Max Quakes. Like, Gastrodon can be a great defensive or even offensive presence, especially after 1 to 2 Storm Drains, which protects Torracat a lot as well. So yeah, those are 2 great synergies for this Pokemon. Great for Incineroar as well, like either way. But yeah, that's going to be it for this slide. Let's go ahead and talk about some speed tiers real quick. So like I said, we hit a very solid speed tier at 155. 155, I think we're the only ones realistically going to be on that speed tier. So we outspeed, and we're not very frequently going to be speed tying anything. So yeah, 155 we outspeed immediately Excadrill, which is very, very good. Jolly max speed Excadrill, 154, so that's amazing. Other things that we outspeed, Form Change Rotom, which is really good. We can just destroy those Rotom modes as well. Duraludon, Gyarados, Togekiss, which is very, very good. You can immediately hit off a Snarl, or we can't get Snarl. You can immediately hit off like a Taunt or like Togekiss or something. There's like a lot of really good things that you can do against these Pokemon. And Parting Shot is a really big one as well, you know, especially after an Intimidate. You make something like Gyarados useless after the Intimidate, and then Parting Shot. Like, the Gyarados is doing 4 damage. It's just beautiful. Things that we don't outspeed, we underspeed them, unfortunately, is things like Mimikyu, Charizard, Durant, Whimsicott. There's not really anything we can do about that, but still, hitting off and Intimidate onto things like Durant is just huge. Mimikyu hates to see the Intimidate, and it's just a really good position that we can go into immediately. And a couple of these, like Fake Out and then like Parting Shot, can be really good, as well as just like Parting Shot into them and then switching out, since we're bulky enough to take a lot of attacks, especially after Intimidate. So that's really good. Yeah, we hit a very solid speed tier, so it's good stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about some damage calcs. So as far as our damage calcs, first off, we have the Overheat into Excadrill, non-Dynamax, taking 100% guaranteed OHKO all the time. This is just a known damage calc that we have. We just take down Excadrill, but if it Dynamaxes, we only hit 50%, you know, 50 to 60%. And then, you know, its Intimidated Rock Slide won't be doing much damage, but an Intimidated Dynamaxed Max Quake is still capable of taking an OHKO against us, so that's really bad. Honestly, like, if it's a Dynamaxing Excadrill, it's a very, very bad matchup, and I'd say at least 50% is going to be Dynamaxing, probably much more than 50%, to be honest. Excadrill very typically will Dynamax, so it's not the greatest matchup in the world, but, you know, like a -1, and then you could even Parting Shot instead of just going for the Overheat. If you think it's going to Dynamax, you just Parting Shot, and then, or even Will-O-Wisp if that's on your set, and then you're able to make it -2 right off the bat, and then it's not doing much damage to anything. You can switch into something like Togekiss that they think they're going to Max Quake your Torracat, and then you just switch into Togekiss and eat it for free, you know, immune. So that can be really good. Some other things that are really threatening against this Pokemon. First off, Primarina is very threatening. Hyper Voice alone will not be knocking you out. It hits 83 to 98%, which is really good. However, if it has Life Orb, which is now the most common item for Primarina, it's hitting 107 to 128%, which is a guaranteed OHKO, making Primarina a very, very scary matchup, and that's a Pokemon that's been very much so trending up in the past few weeks. Primarina has been very, very prominent on the ladder and just in ranked and just in general, as it is a really strong option for water attacks. So next we have the Tyranitar. Even if it's Intimidated with Weakness Policy, it's still going to be hitting 98 to 116 with just Rock Slide, so it's capable of OHKOing us 87.5% of the time if we activate its Weakness Policy. Now, obviously, we don't want to activate its Weakness Policy, but you don't always get to choose when you do. I mean, obviously, you usually can, but it's still, like, if it Dynamaxes and you just go in for damage, it's just very, very hard to take it out immediately. And then its Weakness Policy, Max Rockfall, will just guaranteed OHKO, as well as the Rock Slide if it stays baby. So it's not a greatest matchup either. So honestly, Tyranitar and Excadrill can give this problems, although you can just like, you know, intimidate and then parting shot out and then intimidate, and you can really make them really weak, especially if it's late game and that's all their Pokemon are. You can just like free matchup at the end of the game. And then our last damage calc here is going to be Overheat from Torracat into a Ferrothorn, a pretty bulky, you know, as far as HP. Most sets are HP and attack. Some are going to be HP and defense, but that still doesn't hurt us because Overheat. And Overheat provides us a guaranteed OHKO, hitting 128 to 152. Ferrothorn's another Pokemon that has been trending up in recent days, for good reason. I mean, the Pokemon is really strong right now. You know, it walls out most of the biggest threats. Sand is coming back in troves right now, and Ferrothorn is really confident just sitting against those teams. So that's really good. Anyway, that's going to be it for our damage calcs. Let's go ahead and talk about our single spotlight real quick, and then I'm out of your hair. So as far as our single spotlight goes, we are running Intimidated still, of course, and we're running Choice Scarf on this Pokemon with max speed and max attack, just hitting very offensively. Flare Blitz, U-turn, Parting Shot, and Taunt. Parting Shot is just really good in singles, as well as VGC is just really strong attack, especially being able to switch out. We also have U-turn to be able to switch out with doing damage. If you think they're going to switch out, then that's fine. Although Parting Shot would be equally strong then as well. We also have Flare Blitz for damage and stab, and then we also have Taunt as our last move, just to be able to stop those walls from setting up or doing anything. You know, Toxapex really threatens this Pokemon, but Taunt, making them just not being able to set up or anything, is very good. There's a lot of Pokemon in singles that like to just sit there and set up for a few turns, and Taunt kind of just destroys those teams or those Pokemon, so that's good. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like Torracat at all, leave a like and subscribe. If you don't like it at all, still leave a like and subscribe. It means so much to me. Comment down below for the algorithm. You don't have to, but it would mean a lot to me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Torracat's pretty cool. In sum up, it's not as good as Incineroar. It's objectively not as strong, mostly just due to it's less of a move pool, only one typing, so it's less offensive, and it's less bulky as well. But it is faster, and which is its main biggest thing. It also uses Eviolite to make it almost as bulky, but it is not as bulky, and then you don't get to run like a Pinch Berry or anything. So yeah, it's not as good, but it is still a really cool option that you can use, and I've seen it do really well in the past. And events, as soon as they were legal, Torracat did top cut, which is really cool. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great month. Follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, and goodbye.